Hey buddy, how you doing? It's been a while, man. Make yourself at home. You want a drink? No? Oh, don't worry, my friend. They're clean. They're all clean. You can trust me. No? Oh, fine. Suit yourself. So what brings you to my humble establishment? Wait. Don't say a word. Let me guess. It wouldn't have anything to do with the recent strings of disappearing truck drivers, would it? Cargo untouched, chauffeurs missing. No. What? No. I just like to watch the news, that's all. Look, if I knew anything about it, you think I'd get involved with you now? Don't worry, friend. As far as things concerned, I'm deaf, dumb, and blind. I provide a service to people passing by. You think a cashier knows every customer by name and face who happens to drop by to pick up a six-pack on a Friday afternoon? Right. Look, before I provide said services though, I think you and I have known each other, hypothetically of course, long enough that I'm going to ask you a favor in return. No, hear me out. It's a small, I would say insignificant little service. It's just a little delivery. Bring it to some of my friends, maybe hang around for politeness sake, and then just leave. You're done. With a fat wad of cash in your chest pocket, of course. I mean, no looking a gift horse in the mouth. You scratch my back, I scratch yours, yeah? Yeah. You see, I have this idea, you know? This view on how things work. You see, our ministry, right? We get a bad rep. I get it. Nobody wants to be friends with the guys who supply it. It's bad mojo, I get it. I mean, why would you think we rebranded in the first place, huh? Misguided attempt at a PR stunt, I'd say. Didn't really work out, but at least it's not kill on sight everywhere anymore, you know? Anyway, I'm gonna let you in on a bit of a trade secret. Lots of people look at the world in terms of, you know, morality. Ain't nothing wrong with that, of course. Gotta look after me and mine. Gotta make sure we're all on the same page. Gotta make sure we don't suddenly get a bunch of, shit stirrers causing trouble. Anarchs, Camarilla, Sabat, you name it. I think you and I both would agree that if everyone just kept to themselves, we'd all be a lot happier. And I'd probably be out of a job. But you see, I don't really look at it that way. Political-wise, I mean. I can't afford to, first of all. If I started turning my nose up at a job just because I don't like the people they associate with, I'll find myself right quick out of friends, cash, and a place to hide. Not a great solution for me. That's why I look at the world like this. What is my time worth other people? And vice versa. It's all about the transaction of time, you see. Sure, theoretically, time's all we have, curse of night walking and all that. But you know, money's just time, right? It's time boiled down into a material currency. I know that look. Just hear me out. Time's all we have, and we invest it in getting better at what we do. I'm good at supplying people with shit. You're good at applying said shit to people. You got skills I don't, because you use your time differently. I'll trade you your skills and time with my skills and time. It's the basis of transactions. And that's really all there is to it. And once you start looking at things from that perspective, my friend, you'll also start realizing that what people think are right and wrong, well, that's really more about what they consider worth their time. But me? I ain't got time to shovel shit. But I sure as shit appreciate when the streets don't stink of it and my snakeskin boots don't get covered in it. Yeah? Yeah. To play a vampire of the ministry, formerly known as the followers of Set, is to be a persona non grata, just to varying degrees depending on where you are and in which circles you move. But even among the Anarchs, the loose affiliation of anti-Camarilla kindred they are, now officially a member of, trust towards the Chandler of Set has never been particularly high. And the reason for this is, of course, that while many kindred may dabble with or involve themselves in criminal affairs, it is far, far more likely that a minister kindred will. They specialize in providing dubious or outright illicit services to others, kind or kindred, and they rarely ask for much in return. To the Setites who worship their antediluvian Set and his preachings of spiritual freedom, unbound by petty laws of morality, it makes perfect sense to help their fellow bloodsuckers in letting go of their pointless hang-ups and really just learn to kick loose. Whether it's prostitution, firearms, or narcotics, the ministry likes to have a couple of fingers in each pie. Should they actually be more inclined towards the legal professions, they may instead be subtly undermining whatever institution surrounds them in favor of their master's darker teachings. The source for the general distrust aimed their way is, of course, that when you are in desperate need of something illegal, you tend to provide your provider with an advantage over you. If the then true Baron needs to feed off of prepubescent young boys, for example, it might behoove her to seek the help of the local ministry in order to have it all handled discreetly, under the table, But even if no one else knows, the ministry knows, and at some point that might become a sore topic of discussion. The history of the ministry is long and complicated, as is their clan's culture, and I would suggest you to look at my other videos on that for more in-depth explanation on those topics, but one thing is for certain when it comes to playing them. It is us versus them. Ministry tend not to form rivalries between each other, whether it comes to business or personal matters. And if they are irreconcilable, they have the wherewithal to settle matters internally and subtly. Their clan has had a perhaps rightfully bad reputation for hundreds, if not thousands of years, and they have kind of learned to stick together through all that. Likewise, they are not alien to inviting members of other clans into joining theirs. Any kindred can become a member of the ministry if they show the proper devotion and ideas, and this likewise may have earned them their ill reputation. For which sire would rightly want to see their progeny abandon what they taught them for the teachings of Set? Ministry kindred tend to find various means to promote their ideas and lifestyles, whether it be as nightclub owners, preachers of local parishes, or even managers at gyms and fitness centers. Wherever people gather for a purpose, you can be sure that the serpents are there to provide that little extra, just to make sure the experience goes a little bit smoother. Inexperienced barons or other local authorities might actually be fooled at first, thankful that there is someone in their vicinity willing to help out for a pittance and a sign of appreciation. But few princes within the Camarilla or bishops within the Sabbat are so naive as to not recognize the threat of unrestrained ministry members in their city. But be that as it may, many ministry members know the value of patience and inaction. You often trap more flies with honey than vinegar, and so they will often merely provide what is needed and wait for the flock to come to them. They have all the time in the world, more or less, and with the rapid approach of Gehenna and the beckoning, many of them have given up on proselytizing actively, instead pursuing their own relationship with Set within their hearts, and preferring to let their students ask them for enlightenment than offering it to them. There are, of course, ministry kindred who break this mold. Their clan has had plenty of archaeologists, scholars, lawyers, and bureaucrats. In fact, due to their need to be independent for so long, they have often embraced particularly gifted individuals of many different persuasions in order to shoal up their defenses. The Banu Hakim and the ministry have a long and bloody history. Sometimes rivals, sometimes allies, both clans were independent of both Camarilla and Sabbat for years, before a series of rather unfortunate events forced them both to seek asylum. It is speculated that the Banu Hakim sabotaged the ministry's negotiations with the Ivory Tower rather spectacularly, but if the serpents are aware, they're not talking about it. There is definitely a cold layer of distrust between them, as the judges are far more familiar with the ministry than the serpents are comfortable with. The Bruja is a clan that the ministry often works closely with. These former Camarilla, now the heart of the Anarchs, often require the aid of the serpents to arm their servants, to provide relief, and of course to get information, all of which the ministry are more than happy to supply them with. Their ideals are also easy to mold, if one knows the tricks, and many Bruja have unwittingly begun their worship of Set right after their first transaction. Despite sharing similar powers with the Gangrel, the Ministry rarely interact much with this clan. Their claws are their weapons, they prefer the wild of the forest to that of revelries, and they have little interest in politics or influence. The Ministry will have little success in corrupting them, but their ideology of freedom from the constraints of morality, law, and authority might appeal to the beasts somewhat, at least. The La Sombra tend to be relatively easy for the Ministry to get their hooks in. They are power hungry and lack inhibitions when it comes to what they're willing to do for that power. Any subservient acting ministry can certainly provide them with the means to what they seek, and then reap the benefits from it, especially now that a large amount of La Sombra have found themselves at the bottom of the social rung of the Camarilla. The Ministry rarely bothers with Malkavians. Their shattered minds make it hard to predict what they desire, and they tend to not be very devout followers of anything for very long. Thus, the Ministry may see them as allies, but it all of course depends on how the curse of their clan's founder manifests itself in that particular Malkavian. And like the Malkavians, the Nosferatu are notoriously difficult for the Ministry to manipulate, but for a different reason. They have already seen the true ugliness of the world and don't usually fall for petty temptations of the flesh, yet they both share an interest in information and may therefore strike up an alliance, shaky as that may be. The Toreador are almost too easy for the Ministry to wind around their fingers. Creatures of lusts and vanity, they are so immersed in mortal desires that it is a trifle for the serpents to manipulate them. Likewise, a Toreador is also a worthwhile addition to the church should they prove to have the fortitude for it. Few of them do, as their ability to manipulate mortals and kindred are rivaling those of the Ministry. The Tremere, like the La Sombra, carry a deep hunger. Theirs is for knowledge, and many ancient temples of the followers of Set carry the most delectable of it. The pyramid of the Tremere was recently shattered, and this has proven a boon to the Ministry, who would dearly like to recruit more wielders of blood magic into their church. Meanwhile, the Tremere often underestimate these kindred, assuming they only dabble in illicit goods and nothing more. Finally, the Ventru are probably the clan that the Ministry despises the most, if only because of their unconscious obsession with letting their ancients manipulate them. They are the slaves of the Aeons, the Ministry's name for the Antediluvians, but they are also often in desperate need of allies and suppliers, for which the Ministry will gladly foot the bill. At first, of course. The Ministry wield three powers of their blood: Obfuscate, Presence, and Protean, what was once Serpentis. Not really a clan of fighters, their powers tend to lean more towards subtle or overt manipulations of moods and attitudes, and they are known to wield their presence to soothe the masses, to spice up a night of revelries, or to assure their visitors that they mean them no harm. It rarely stands in a Ministry's profit to sour their relationships by being aggressive or threatening, but they wield those powers as well should they need it. While the Nosferatu are more famous for their mastery of Obfuscate, and the Malkavians are more subtle about it, after all, who even remembers that they wield it, the Ministry hit a middle ground. The stereotype that there is always a serpent hiding in the shadows may not always be true, but due to the nature of their profession, it behooves any competent ministry to be able to hide and disguise themselves should business dealings turn sour. Finally, their use of Protean allows them to change shape, to immobilize others with their eyes alone, or even removing their hearts from their bodies to prevent staking. While not as flashy as what the Gangrel or Tzimisce powers are, it is nonetheless a potent tool in their arsenal. If you decide to play a vampire of the Ministry, odds are that you will often be judged based on your clan alone, and that you will be expected to be untrustworthy and manipulative. Whether or not you choose to act on that is of course your own prerogative, but many serpents thrive in this environment, exploiting these preconceived notions with expertise and subtlety. I would like to thank the Antediluvians, you grandchilder of Cain, for your constant support and guidance. Bambi Parsons, a leader with an unbreakable will, and Procyon, who in abandoning his humanity has risen as a god amongst Cain's angels. You Methuselah, their lieutenants and our masters, control our every move through your timeless jihad. You are Her Satanic Majesty Danny, whose presence chills the blood. Socrates Johnson, a scholar and masterful craftsman of stories. Lauren Eason, ever vigilant for the darkest and most depraved of secrets. And Alexander Kushtaria, esoteric scholar and mentor in magecraft. We want to thank the Primogen Council of Edward Reed, Non-God, and Bled for your diligent support of our cause. Your wisdom shall guide our progeny well. The Council would also wish to propose a toast to the Elder Dogma for the services he has provided us ever so faithfully, and would likewise also bring to attention the prospect of the Ancile Iodan, upon whose performance the Council are bid to pay heed. Naturally, all our elders, Ancile, and neonates receive our gratitude from the bottoms of our hearts. Without your support, this would not be possible. And thank you for watching. Now be careful out there, for Gehenna may soon be upon us.